Hello, you beautiful people. So, I'm pretty sure a lot of us are interested in Tribbie's kit considering that she is going to be our next limited Harmony unit. And we recently got some pretty detailed info on her kit, so I'm guessing you're probably curious about that, right? Well, lucky for you, you've landed on the perfect video to get all that juicy kit-related info. Today, we're basically going to discuss the new info that we got on Tribbie's kit from a very reliable source, and we're also going to take a look at her playstyle, her light cone, and her Eidolons as well. Just as a heads up, I actually feel like Tribbie's kit is very different from all the other Harmony characters released up until now, and I have a feeling that a lot of you guys will like her kit quite a lot. Before we go on though, if you're planning to pull for the Herta or the rerunning units in version 3.0, you might want to check out Lubar because on this site, you can save up to a total of 23% on all your purchases. Just as an example, I'll buy this 3280 Oniric Shard pack for $43, and this same pack costs me about $50 from the in-game shop. You can see that it's cheaper, right? The top-up process is honestly really easy as well because all you need to do is enter your UID in this box and choose your respective server depending on your account. After waiting for a few minutes, I received my Jades with the double top-up bonus because it was my first purchase and saved a decent amount of money. Also, other than HSR, you can top up on Genshin as well using Lubar, and both of these games have quite a lot of 5-star reviews. Lastly, if you use my link which is in the description or the pinned comment, you can get an extra 8% off on top of all the other discounts, so do keep that in mind. Anyways, with the sponsor done, let me mention the usual disclaimer that this version of Tribbie's kit is not the final one, and her actual kit might turn out to be a little bit different from this kit, so take all this info with a grain of salt. With that being said, let's begin without wasting any more of your time or energy. Okay, starting with the very basics as usual, Tribbie is going to be a quantum type unit who follows the path of harmony, and she quite literally puts the harm in harmony. Basically, Tribbie is going to be a unit whose entire kit is centered around dealing damage while also providing some really unique and great buffs to your other teammates, but don't worry, her personal damage is surprisingly really good as well. Honestly, looking at the current version of her kit, she is going to be a really good generalist support who is synergistic with a lot of units somewhat similar to Ruan, Mei, and Robin. Now, for all the Madame Herta simps out there just like me, we're going to be eating really well these next few months because Tribbie's kit is definitely designed to be insanely synergistic with Madame Herta's kit, and you'll soon understand why I'm saying this. Alright, with the basics being done, let me stop yapping and it's finally time to take a detailed look at her kit. So, starting with her basic attack, this time I'm not going to say that it's quite generic because her basic attack is actually really unique, and it says that upon being used, it deals quantum damage in a blast type area hitting 3 enemies. Honestly, this blast type basic attack is kind of useless for most interactions because Tribbie will do like 10 damage with her basic, but it's really nice for Madame Herta because it provides her with some bonus stacks for her talent. Overall, since Tribbie will be using her basic attack most of the time in a battle, this synergy with Madame Herta's talent actually makes it quite useful, so that's pretty good. Next up, taking a look at her skill, it basically provides an aura type field somewhat similar to Ruan Mei, and this field quite literally makes up for all the supportive capabilities in her kit. Now, you're probably curious what these supportive capabilities are, right? Well, just with her skill, she provides some decent damage boost, defense shred, and an all-type resistance penetration to all her allies. Yep, she literally provides defense shred and an all-type resistance penetration, which are like 2 of the best buffs in the entire game, and these buffs are pretty useful for every single DPS out there. Honestly, I would actually rate Tribbie's buffs a bit higher than other Harmony units because I think we can agree that a buff's value depends on how easily obtainable it is, right? In HSR, almost all the Harmony units provide buffs related to the usual things like crit and bonus damage, and in this kind of a scenario, Tribbie providing extra resistance penetration and defense shred makes her buffs a lot more useful than the entire Harmony roster. Also, since all of her buffs are team-wide rather than being tied to a single main DPS, she can pretty much be slotted in any team out there to provide these nice and unique buffs. Now, moving on, remember how I said at the start that Tribbie literally puts the harm in harmony? Well, I stated that because upon using Tribbie's ultimate, she deals a decent amount of AoE quantum damage to all the enemies present on the field, and along with this, she also applies a buff to all of her allies. Yep, her ultimate is totally focused around dealing damage, and the buff that she applies to her allies makes it so that whenever an ally deals damage to any random enemy, the particular enemy with the highest HP receives an amount of additional damage. This is genuinely really good for pretty much any team out there, and you can basically think of this damage like a premium Robin, as they literally work in the same way and are both classified as additional damage. Next up, taking a look at her talent, I would say that this ability of Tribbie makes her kit even more interesting than it already is, and it's definitely one of the most unique parts about her kit. So, Tribbie's talent just states that whenever an ally uses their respective ultimate to attack any enemy, she launches a follow-up attack which deals a decent bit of quantum damage to all the enemies present on the field. I would say this is a really interesting and cool mechanic in my opinion, and it will work really nicely with the characters and teams that have a frequent supply of ultimates to deal a huge amount of damage to the enemies with those follow-ups. Lastly, the info that we got on her traces and her Eidolons is quite vague, but I'll try my best to simplify it for you guys. Okay, starting with the traces first, all of them are mainly focused around boosting Tribbie's personal damage output and her other stats like energy regeneration, damage, and max HP. Yep, all of her traces just makes her deal more damage, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, just like her traces, her Eidolons are also mainly focused around boosting her own personal damage, and her light cone provides her with some extra crit damage as well. Alright, with that, we've gone through all the new and detailed info that we got on Tribbie's kit, and I hope you guys understood my explanation. I have to say, I personally like her kit quite a lot as it's really interesting and unique compared to the other Harmony units, and she also synergizes really well with the Herta, so I kind of have to pull her anyway. Don't worry though, I'm pretty sure that she is going to be a really good generalist support as well similar to Ruan Mei, because all of the buffs that she provides work with quite literally every DPS character out there. Honestly, I think all of us kind of expected that she will probably have a broken kit considering that she is a Harmony unit, and it's most likely going to turn out to be true. I'm curious though, how do you guys feel about her kit? Lastly, I forgot to say this at the start, but I wish you guys a very happy new year, and I hope your first 3 or 4 days of 2025 went great. Also, if you ended up watching until the very end, I think you probably enjoyed the video and you might want to consider subscribing to the channel as well. With that being said, I really love y'all and I will see you in another one.